Hi there, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Thanks for joining us on TCM. Tonight we're in the middle of a double feature based on stories written by Edith Wharton. A pioneering and prolific force in American literature, Wharton broke barriers as the first woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in 1921 for her novel The Age of Innocence. Known for her precise prose and sharp commentary on high society, much of Wharton's work is set within the restrictive confines of the Gilded Age and explores themes of class, marriage, morality, and gender inequality. Up next, a drama based on a novella Wharton wrote in 1921, a story first serialized in Redbook magazine before it was published as a book in 1924. Then came a Pulitzer Prize-winning theatrical adaptation in 1935. Paramount purchased the screen rights to the play, but the studio never got around to making the film. In 1939, Warner Brothers bought the rights from Paramount to showcase the biggest star on Warner's lot, Bette Davis. Warner's then produced the movie you're about to see, from 1939, directed by Edmund Goulding, The Old Maid. Story is set in the Northeast and begins during the Civil War, when the morality of the time meant women who committed what was called a serious indiscretion often had to spend the rest of their lives paying a steep price for it. In this film, Davis is the woman who must pay for her indiscretion. The lavish production teamed Davis for the first time with Miriam Hopkins, the woman who, perhaps more than any other actress, even Joan Crawford, drove Bette Davis nuts. And it worked the other way around, too. Early in Davis's film career, Miriam Hopkins was a force on the Paramount lot. But by the time they worked together on The Old Maid, Davis had emerged as the far bigger star. She was paid more money and got the bigger dressing room. Miriam Hopkins didn't really care for that shift. To make matters worse, Hopkins had starred in a stage version of Jezebel, and it had done poorly. Then Bette Davis turned around and starred in the 1938 film adaptation of the play and won an Academy Award for it. Miriam Hopkins didn't care for that either. But those events were merely subplots in the Davis-Hopkins saga. The biggest rift between the two actresses centered on a man, director Anatole Litvak. He and Bette Davis had a fling, which would have been okay, except Litvak was married to Miriam Hopkins. Hopkins really didn't care for that one. So, as you're watching, bear in mind that while Hopkins and Davis were both terrific actresses, the friction between their characters didn't require much acting in this one. From 1939, also with George Brent, Donald Crisp, and Jane Bryan, The Old Maid. The Old Maid never ranked high on Bette Davis's list of her favorite movies, even though it stands among her most popular films with audiences. Her opinion may have been tainted by the contentious relationship she had with her co-star, Miriam Hopkins, during production. Before the film, I mentioned that Davis had an affair with director Anatole Litvak, who was married to Miriam Hopkins at the time. Hopkins reportedly used every trick in the book to upstage Davis in the movie, a game that Davis wouldn't play, irritating Hopkins even more. And while Bette Davis always raged about Miriam Hopkins and Faye Dunaway and Susan Hayward, she rarely had anything to say about Joan Crawford, good or bad, which is somewhat surprising given the often repeated legend that they were each other's worst enemy. Coming up, the professor, Jacqueline Stewart, arrives with Silent Sunday Night. She'll have a 1928 MGM drama starring Joan Crawford. Our Dancing Daughters is next on TCM.
Next on TCM, Our Dancing Daughters, then Black Moon, and later, Sans Soleil. TCM is walking on sunshine tonight.